Hello everyone, welcome back in another video. I am about today date is 26th of September 2022, and our today's video we are going to see a Spring Data JPA. So basically JPA stands for Java Persistence API, and API stands for Application Programming Interface. That means our JPA is nothing but it is one kind of a interface. So why we need and what are the parameters are included within that point? Let's we see. So basically, our Java can communicate with the our front end to back end. There is some specific within some specific manner. It consisting a user interface, and that user interface is connected with the web servers and or server link. And then after that the second most important parameter is that is the core, and that core can consist of IOC and DI, that means inversion of control and dependency injection. Then on those both points we are discussing brief in our previous videos. And then after that the third one point is our ORM means object relational mapping. So so here we comes on the point of ORM. Our JPA is a JPA can use ORM as a tool. That means in our ORM can also consisting of some functionality like a Hibernate or Ibatis. So that means the function of the Hibernate can perform like that. Suppose whenever any developer or coder can write any program, suppose they can write in a Java language. So Java is a fully object-oriented language. That means it's completely based on objects. So that means the whole code or whole data can be stored and converted into the object format. That means we have to convey that data from the user server to the database. The databases are different, like SQL, MySQL, or Oracle. Like these are different types of database are there. MongoDB. These are different types of a database. So that database, as we suppose we are using a MySQL. So in MySQL, SQL can have the structure like a column and rows. That means it store the data in the form of rows and columns. Okay. So our created data is in the form of object. So we have to transfer that data into our database. Before that, we have to convert that data from object to the row column format. So that's why in between that our server and database there is comes is a JDBC. That means Java database connectivity. So that connectivity can connect that both server and database each other. So that time we have to write manually SQL queries for that conversion of object into the row, for the purpose of adding or saving, and for the purpose of recalling or reading. That time we have to convert again that data which is stored in the form of row and column. We have to convert that data into the object format. That's why we have to write again one more manual SQL logic for that case. That's why we have to. That's why the coder can confuse or get jumbled for that particular cases. They have to. They want to reduce the yellow seal. That means the line of code for the improving the performance of code and for the improving the performance of their project. That's why the in the frame there comes a Hibernate. Hibernate can remove all those errors which can be have to implement by the developer. Hibernate can perform the function like that. Hibernate can take data from a server, and that data can be converted from object form to the row and column format, and that data can be directly converted towards the database and stored in the form of row and column. That's why the effort of developer for converting that data from object to the row, it should be reduced. So after that, that when the developer or coder can call that data from the database, that's why that time it directly get output in terms of object. That means they no need to convert that again that row and column into the object. By the help of Hibernate, they can they can convey that data directly from row column format to the object format. That is the overall function of the Hibernate or our ORM. So basically, they consisting a Hibernate. Recently, they are mainly widely in our IT industry. They are using a Hibernate, but Java can understand that the our whole IT structure should be dependent on a Hibernate, because the major part of our code, that means the data transparency and the data connectivity can be dependent on a Hibernate. That's why there is maybe a chance to get a tightly coupled. That means if suppose in future Hibernate can do any something unofficial, or Hibernate get any trouble for the work, that time our whole server get collapsed. That's why they providing a provision of a IOC and DI. That means inversion of control. That means we are directly disconnecting or removing the Hibernate from our server. Suppose one more sub framework is that iPadis. We have to implement iPadis instead of our Hibernate. That time we just use by using only by using a IOC, we can easily remove the controls from the our Hibernate, and we give that control to our IOCs. That is one kind of an example. For that, what we do, we are creating an API for our particular classes or object. Suppose we have to collect or store the data of a student. Suppose there is a one class which containing a detail of student. There's a detail like inter roll number, string name, and inter marks. We have to store all the data in our database. That time we can create a class, and that class can be extended our interface. That interface, suppose we creating an interface like a student repository, we can call it as a repository student repo, and that student repo can have a containing the all subsequent processes like setters and getters methods, to string methods. After that, it also consisting of all parameters and no parameters. This all annotation can be consisting within that particular student repository, and that repository can extend to our JPA repository, which are directly inbuilt in our Java after the version of 2008. After the version of 2006, we can directly access the JPA repository. That means JPA repository, it is one of the interface, and that interface can be extended by our student repo. That means all the classes or all the methods which are written in the student repo, that data can be easily accessed by that JPA repo. So that JPA repo can consisting or convey that data to the our ORM system. That means the ORM can consist Hibernate or Diabetes. So that data can easily convey towards that. So that's why if we have to change that particular framework, that time we don't need to write that method again and again, or we not need to repeat that code again and again as per their changing in their frame. We can only change the interface, or we can only change the connectivity of that particular interface. We can transfer that student repository to the another interface which we have to implement within our code. That's why the reduction of code and repeatability of code, that means dry, that means we can follow that one concept dry, that is the do not repeat yourself. That means we are not repeating that code again and again for the each correction. But if we are we are not using that IOC, that time the main disadvantage is that if we are not using IOC, that time we have to write again and again that code as per their changes. Okay, so for the changes we have to implement all those methods in our new interface. For that implementation, we have a function of a DI, that means a dependency injection. Dependency injection stand for dependency injection can work as a our IOC can create an object for that particular method, and that object can be inserted or injected into the new repository with the help of a DI. That means when we are using annotation as a @attowire, that time that with the help of that annotation we can directly get the access of data which are stored within that particular interface. By using the annotation, we get the access. Uh, After that, so this is overall about Spring JPA. Thank you.